The jail. The jail is very interesting. I used to think it was a slave quarters because it was always a really small building. It's a wall that's about, I think, 8 feet tall. And I always thought that was where the slaves were held or whatever. And I've always thought that when I walked by there, that was the eeriest place in all of Colonial Williamsburg, other than Peyton Randolph House. Because it's all, literally on the other end, you know. And I took a tour one day and found out that it was the jail. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. This is the jail, but why is it so creepy? Um, it is said to have had several people in there. I believe Blackbeards, pirates were in there, and several other really bad people, I guess. But I went through it, and I was like, that's kind of cool on the inside. And they show you little rooms and where everybody sits. But then I went to the courtyard, and the courtyard is really funny because it's a big square, and there's a small square inside of it. The small square has 4 rooms. It's one on each side, top and bottom. So left, right, and then bottom, left, and right. And then there's a little courtyard outside of that, I guess, where they go so they can't escape. And I went in one of the rooms because they had the tours and had all the doors open. And I went in there and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, to see a jail that old. And I went in there and I felt really, really, really like there was something wrong, like something's in there. And I walked in further and further until I got to the very end where I could barely see light coming out from the door. I walked in and I noticed the chain was moving and the ball, because it's a ball and chain, it hangs on the wall. And I noticed it was moving and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And I went over there to go touch it, and that ball weighs probably every bit of 50 to 80 pounds. It's pretty heavy. And the chain's not, a small chain. I mean, it is there to hold the people to the wall or to the floor, wherever. They're not moving. Um, and I noticed it was moving, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I went back and I told Charles, who at that time worked in security for Colonial Williamsburg, and he had said, when I told him where it was, and he said, let me guess, it was in the jail cell on the left top. And I was like, yeah. And he said, yeah, that's the one that I hear moaning and groaning all the time at. And I was like, that's really cool. And he said, it's hard to move those chains, isn't it? I was like, yeah. He said, a lot of people think that the wind can come in there and blow them, and you can't, because, I mean, it's literally like you're in your house with a wall that's outside of your house. You're not going to blow what's inside your house. I mean, it was really creepy. And I think maybe a year later, I went back with Charles, and we went back to the jail. We always go, to all these different places looking around. And we went back to the jail, and the group was behind me. I just kind of went ahead of everybody. And I noticed when I got back there, I looked to the back, I, went into the gate. I heard a male and female talking, and I was like, wow. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but I heard them talking, and I got closer and closer. And I could still hear them talking, but as I got close, like right up on the building, like I could see inside of it, they stopped. And I told Charles, I was like, I think somebody's in there. And he said, really? Well, why do you say that? And I said, I heard a male and a female. Like, yeah, you could tell it was a female and you could tell it was a male, and they were, talking. And he said, you don't hear it anymore? And I was like, no. And, we were there for a while, and we were being still and quiet, and we never heard it again. But I thought it was very weird that the jail, and it was, probably, 4:30, 5 o'clock, so it was getting dark. But didn't hear anything else ever after that. But it was very weird that I had heard it at that moment. And I was, again, by myself when I shouldn't have been. But yeah, that's the experience at the jail.